It happened so fast that even the house staff froze. The grand marble foyer of the Attawell mansion shimmered under the morning sunlight, spilling through glass walls. Vanessa Taylor stood beside her fiancé, Tunde Adewale, the billionaire tech mogul whose name opened every door in Lagos. The air was perfumed with wealth, imported roses, expensive cologne, and quiet luxury. But all that elegance shattered in a heartbeat. The moment the housekeeper walked in carrying a tray of tea, Vanessa's world stopped. Her knees weakened. The porcelain cup slipped from her trembling fingers and shattered on the floor. Her breath caught in her throat as her eyes locked on the older woman before her. It was her, the same poor market woman she had kicked months ago, right there in Balogun Market, now standing inside her billionaire fiancé's mansion, dressed neatly in the uniform of a domestic worker. For a split second, time froze between them. The woman's eyes flickered with shock, recognition, then a calm, dignified sorrow. Vanessa's heart pounded violently, her face draining of color. The humiliation of that market day came flooding back. Her rage, her arrogance, the shouting crowd and the cameras that captured it all. And now this same woman was here. "Mama Grace," Tunda said warmly, not noticing the tension in the air. "Meet my fiancée, Vanessa. She's the love of my life. Mama Grace has been like a mother to me since I was a boy." Vanessa felt her throat tighten. Like a mother? The words stabbed at her pride. "Mama Grace?" Vanessa whispered, struggling to keep her composure. Her voice cracked. You work here?" Mama Grace's lips curved into a quiet, knowing smile. "I don't just work here, my dear. I helped raise this man." Vanessa's knees almost gave out. She wanted to disappear. The same woman she had called useless and filthy in the market, the one she had kicked when a basket of tomatoes accidentally splashed her designer dress, was standing in her fiancé's house, as family. The silence stretched unbearably long. Tunda glanced between them, confused. "Wait, you two know each other?" Vanessa forced a shaky laugh. "Oh, maybe she just looks familiar." But Mama Grace didn't let her finish. She turned slowly toward Tundi. "Yes, we've met," she said evenly, "though our first meeting was not a pleasant one." Tundi frowned. "What do you mean?" Mama Grace's gaze held Vanessa's, firm but calm. "Let's just say your fiancé once taught me that money can make some people forget their humanity." Vanessa's heart stopped. "That's not true," she burst out, panic rising in her chest. "It was an accident. She spilled tomatoes on me." "I apologized that day," Mama Grace interrupted softly, her voice steady but piercing. "You called me names. You kicked me in front of everyone. You said I belonged in the gutter." Tunda's expression darkened. The warmth in his eyes vanished, replaced by disbelief. "Vanessa, is this true?" The room spun. Vanessa felt exposed, cornered. "Tunde, please. I didn't mean it like that. You know how Lagos markets are? Chaotic, crowded. She embarrassed me, and people were filming. I just—" Tundi's jaw clenched. "So you kicked her?" The words cut through her defenses. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. Mama Grace turned away quietly, lifting the tray she had placed on the table. "I will go prepare breakfast," she murmured, leaving the room. Vanessa's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to explain, but the weight of Tunde's silence crushed her. His disappointment was louder than any words. "How could you, Vanessa?" he said finally, his voice low but sharp. "That woman has done more for me than anyone in my family. She helped me survive after my father died. She's like my second mother." "I didn't know," Vanessa whispered. "That's not the point," Tunda said coldly. "You didn't have to know her to treat her with respect." The walls of luxury around her suddenly felt suffocating. Vanessa looked around at the marble floors, the chandeliers, the servants, all the wealth she thought she deserved, and for the first time, it felt like everything was slipping from her hands. Mama Grace's calm dignity echoed in her mind, cutting deeper than any insult ever could. Tunda turned and walked toward the stairs. "We'll talk later," he said quietly without looking back. Vanessa stood frozen in the foyer, staring at the fragments of the broken teacup on the floor. Her reflection wavered in the puddle of spilled tea, distorted, fragile, and defeated. Outside, the sun kept shining over the mansion, as if mocking her downfall. But deep inside Vanessa's chest, something darker began to stir. A mix of fear, guilt, and something else she didn't want to name. Because she could tell, from the look in Mama Grace's eyes, that this reunion was only the beginning. And whatever was coming next, she wasn't ready for it. The market memory burned bright and ugly. Weeks before the mansion moment, Vanessa had stepped out of a black SUV at Balogun Market, chasing a photo op. Lagos heat rose like steam from the pavement, vendors shouting prices over drums of color, peppers, fabrics, silverfish on ice. Her friend Keisha, a Nigerian-American fashion vlogger visiting from Atlanta, filmed snippets for their socials. They wanted authentic Lagos, bustle, texture, grit, and a smiling Vanessa in a flowing Ankara dress. Pressure lived inside Vanessa like a drum. Brand deals, the coming wedding, a million tiny judgments. She'd worked hard to cross oceans and class. The Atlanta girl who once counted coins for bus fare, now choosing napkin textures for a billionaire's engagement party. That day, the market felt like a stage, and she felt watched. By strangers, by Keisha's lens, by an invisible jury waiting to say she didn't belong. Mama Grace moved through the crowd at the wrong second. A basket of tomatoes tilted, a red cascade rolled across the path, and a streak splashed Vanessa's dress. Gasps rose, a small ring of faces tightening around them. Keisha lowered the camera, eyes wide. "I'm so sorry, my daughter," Mama Grace said, hands up, voice soft. "Let me clean." And then the drum inside Vanessa burst. "Do you know how much this costs?" Vanessa snapped, grabbing the stained fabric. "Watch where you're going." "It was an accident," Mama Grace replied, still gentle, reaching for a cloth. "I will pay for cleaning. Please." "You? Pay?" The word slipped out like a blade. A snicker from somewhere stoked the heat on Vanessa's skin. Phones lifted. Someone whispered, "That's Tunde's fiancé." Another voice laughing, "She's forming, madam." Vanessa's shame curled into anger. "You made me look stupid," she shouted. When Mama Grace bent to pick a rolling tomato, Vanessa's foot shot forward. A kick, quick, thoughtless, caught the older woman's shin. The crowd recoiled. Tomatoes burst underfoot like red suns. A boy of about 12 darted in, steadying Mama Grace. "Grandma, are you okay?" he asked, eyes hard at Vanessa. "I'm fine, Dami," she said, with a brave smile that only deepened the crowd's silence. Vanessa heard herself say things she wished she could claw back even as they left her mouth. Useless. Dirty. Move from my way. Phones recorded. Keisha tugged her arm, whispering, "Nessa, stop. People are filming." Shame hit late, like thunder after lightning. Mama Grace straightened, dignity like a shield. "I apologize," she said. "We are all human." Vanessa didn't answer. She stormed toward the SUV, the crowd parting with a cold hiss. Behind the tinted glass, she shook, breaths ragged, the dress a red-tinged accusation in her lap. Keisha didn't say a word. She didn't need to. The boy's eyes, hurt and fierce, stayed with Vanessa the entire ride home. That night, Vanessa tried to fix it with money. She sent someone back with cash to find the woman, to pay for the tomatoes, to pay for anything. The runner returned saying the market woman refused. She said respect is not for sale. Respect. The word rested heavy on Vanessa's chest. She started drafting an apology post, then deleted it. She rehearsed sorry in the mirror until it felt like a costume. She told herself it would pass. The clips would fade. She would be better tomorrow. She would be the woman the world thought she was. The woman Tunde believed in. But the internet rarely forgets. A week later, a short video surfaced, blurry but cruel. Comments bloomed like weeds. Some defended her, most didn't. Vanessa hid the link from Tunde. He was knee-deep in a funding round for his clean energy project. She told herself she'd explain after the stress passed. Then the mansion happened. Mama Grace stepped through the foyer door. The world stopped, and the truth snapped into place like a trap. After Tunde walked away, Vanessa fled upstairs to a guest room and closed the door quietly, fingers trembling on the handle. The house hummed with quiet wealth, and a tension so thick she could taste it. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the patterned duvet, too ashamed to cry. A soft knock came. Vanessa stiffened. The door opened a crack, and Mama Grace slipped in, a fresh cloth folded in her hands. She set it on the bedside table and stood, composed as a queen. "I brought this for the tea you spilled," she said. Vanessa's voice was thin. "Why didn't you tell him immediately? Why not embarrass me back?" "Because teaching is not the same as shaming," Mama Grace said. "And Tundi, his heart is soft. If I cut you in front of him, I cut him too." Vanessa swallowed. "I'm sorry," she blurted. The words shook, but they were real. "I was scared. People were filming. I wanted to look strong. I was foolish." Mama Grace studied her, then nodded once. "Fear and pride walk together," she said. "I have known both." Silence stretched. Then Mama Grace reached into her pocket and brought out a small phone wrapped in a handkerchief. She tapped the screen, turned it around. A video played, clearer than the trending clip, close enough to catch Vanessa's face as anger broke across it like a wave. It held everything. The gasp in the crowd, Dami's small hands lifting tomatoes, Vanessa's foot striking. No blur, no doubt. Vanessa's stomach hollowed. "Where did you get this?" "From a friend," Mama Grace said. "The person who filmed it never posted it. They brought it to me." She paused, eyes steady. "They live under this roof." Vanessa looked up, pulse hammering. "Who?" Mama Grace folded the phone back into the handkerchief and slipped it away. "Before I answer," she said softly, "tell me something. Do you want to protect your image or change your heart?" The question hung in the air like a bell. Vanessa opened her mouth, but the door flew wider. Tundi stood there, face set, phone in his hand. He had the video open too. Another link, another angle. His eyes met Vanessa's, then slid to Mama Grace. "I think," he said quietly, "we all need to talk. Because if this goes public the way I just heard it might, there's more at stake than an apology." He held up his phone. On the screen, a message from an unknown number. "Pay or the full footage drops at noon." The clock on the wall ticked, loud and sudden, and noon felt very close. Before the next chapter continues, if you're invested in where this is going, consider supporting the story so more people find it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who loves good drama. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. What would you have done in this situation? Have you ever seen something like this happen? Your thoughts might help someone make a better choice. No one sat. They stood in a tense triangle. Vanessa by the bed, Tundi in the doorway, Mama Grace between them like a calm shoreline against a rising tide. "First," Tundi said, voice clipped, "we stopped that noon deadline." He tapped his screen, forwarding the extortion text to his head of security. Within minutes, a tall, steady man named Kunle arrived, suit crisp, face unreadable. He took one look at the message, then at all three of them. "Unknown prepaid SIM," he said, "but whoever sent it used the mansion Wi-Fi last night. I can pull the device log." They moved to Tunde's study, a quiet room lined with books and soft leather. The air conditioner hummed. Kunle slid behind the desk and typed. On the big monitor, a list appeared, phones and laptops that had connected to the guest network. "There," Kunle said, pointing. "A US iPhone connected at 11:42 p.m., MAC address ending in 7C41. It pinged this messaging server twice." He zoomed in. "Guest room 2. Vanessa's mouth went dry. "That's Keisha's room." The name settled like dust. Kunle glanced at Tundi. "Do I bring her here?" "No," Tunda said. "We go to her." They found Keisha sitting cross-legged on the bed in guest room 2, a silk bonnet on her head, laptop open. When she saw all of them, Tunde, Vanessa, Mama Grace, and Kunle, she closed the computer with a soft click and folded her arms. "This looks like a tribunal," she said, forcing a smile. "Vanessa, what's going on?" "You tell me," Tunda said, holding up his phone. 11:42 p.m., guest Wi-Fi. A message from an unknown number asking for money to stop a video from going live at noon. Keisha's eyes flickered, a tiny flinch. "I sent a message," she said slowly, "but not to ask for money." "Then to ask for what?" Mama Grace asked, voice mild. Keisha looked at Vanessa. "For honesty." Vanessa blinked. You sent that? I filmed you that day, Keisha said, words tumbling now. Not the big social post, just raw footage. I thought showing you the real thing would shock you into doing the right thing before the wedding. A genuine apology, not PR. I was going to set an auto post if you kept dodging it. Tunde's jaw tightened. The text said pay. Keisha shook her head, confused. I never asked for money. Kunle stepped forward. Unlock your phone, please. A pause, then Keisha handed it over. He moved through screens, thumb quick, face calm. He found a draft auto post for noon. Vanessa Taylor issues apology to market woman. It wasn't live yet. No ransom demands, no threats. So, who, Vanessa began, but Kunle lifted a hand. He was already checking the unknown number. He ran a quick trace, then frowned. This SIM piggybacked your phone's hotspot at midnight, he said to Keisha. It used your connection, but it's not yours. Keisha's eyebrows shot up. What? How? Because you left your hotspot on, Kunle replied. He turned to Tunda. Someone inside the house used her data to send the money demand and made it look like her. They were close enough to connect from here. The room felt suddenly smaller. Vanessa's skin prickled. Who else is on this floor, she asked. 3 staff rooms, Kunle said, and Mama Grace's suite down the hall. They all looked at Mama Grace. She only shook her head, a quiet, slightly sad smile ghosting her face. I do not know who sent it, she said, but I know why I kept the better video. She turned to Vanessa. Not to destroy you. To make sure your apology when it came was real. Keisha swallowed. I gave a copy to Mama Grace last week, she admitted. I didn't post it because I thought, maybe you would fix it yourself. Vanessa felt the words hit, heavy but right. I was afraid, she said. Afraid of losing Tunde. Afraid of being the villain. I told myself tomorrow. Tomorrow has a habit of arriving, Mama Grace said gently. Silence stretched. Then Tunde exhaled. Okay, we get ahead of this. Vanessa, you apologize on camera this morning. Not a pretty segment. Real words. No music, no edits. You say my name only if you need to. You sent her Mama Grace. We release it before noon. Vanessa nodded, throat tight. I will. Kunle's radio clicked softly. He listened, face sharpening. Sir, he said to Tunde, it found something else. The same unknown SIM accessed the private study Wi-Fi at 5:20 a.m. for 8 minutes. Tunde frowned. Doing what? Uploading. Keisha's gaze snapped to the wall clock. 11:20 a.m. Uploading where? Vanessa asked. Kunle's radio crackled again. He glanced at the big monitor in the study, where a browser window opened. Unbidden, on Tunde's professional YouTube channel. The thumbnail was a still frame from the market. Vanessa's foot in motion, Damie's small hands reaching for tomatoes. A countdown ticker hovered in the corner. Premiere in 0039. That's not my channel, Vanessa whispered. It's mine, Tunde said, color draining from his face. My verified account, the Clean Energy Project channel. The door to the guest room was still half open. In the hallway, a floorboard creaked. All 4 of them turned as someone's shadow crossed the light. Who's there? Kunle barked, already moving. From the corridor, a quiet voice answered. Steady, familiar, and very close. I am, it said. And if you stop that upload, the second link goes to every investor on your list. They stepped into the hall and saw the speaker clearly for the first time. It wasn't a staff member. It was Tunde's cousin, Sade, his operations lead, key to the funding round, holding a second phone in one hand and a house key card in the other. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Smile for the truth, she said softly, because in 40 seconds, the whole city will. 39 seconds. Say didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Calm, composed, she stood in the hallway like someone who'd already counted every outcome. Tunde stepped forward. Say, don't do this on my channel. We'll handle it properly. This is properly, she replied. Sunlight before spin. Your investors will find out either way. Better they see you own the truth. Kunle's radio crackled. Security to Kunle. Unknown SIM traced to the staff wing. We have movement. Hold them, Kunle snapped. Then to Sade. If you care about transparency, why the ransom text? Sade frowned. What ransom text? Keisha and Vanessa exchanged a stunned look. Kunle explained fast. The midnight hotspot piggyback, the money demand, the noon drop. Sade's jaw tightened. I scheduled the premiere, she said, but I never asked for money. Whoever did that wants chaos, not accountability. Who else has admin access to my channel? Tunde asked. You gave it to me and to Collins, Sade said, eyes narrowing. He's junior IT. Kunle's radio popped again. Kunle, we've lost visual on Collins. Back door ajar. Lock the gates, Kunle ordered, then turned to Tunde. Sir, choose. Kill power or go public first. Vanessa's throat worked. Let me apologize now, she said. No edits. No script. Mama Grace looked at her, measuring. Not to the air, she murmured. To the people you wounded. We'll get there, Tunde said. But first we stop the bleeding. They moved a small, urgent procession to the study. The countdown read, Euro scene. Sade slid behind the desk, fingers flying. I can preempt the premiere with a live broadcast. It will override the cue. Tunde nodded. Do it. Title, We Were Wrong. Watch this first. Keisha lifted her camera with a shaky breath. I'll frame it. No filters. Natural light. Vanessa, stand here. Vanessa's hands shook as she faced the lens. The room blurred, then sharpened. She could see the stained memory in her mind, the flare of anger in the boy's small hands. She inhaled and began. My name is Vanessa Taylor, she said, voice steadying as she spoke, and I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I thought my fear of humiliation gave me permission to humiliate. It didn't. I kicked a woman who apologized to me. I spoke like her dignity cost less than my dress. I was wrong. Mama Grace, I'm sorry. Dami, I'm sorry. Balogun vendors, I'm sorry. Keisha lowered the camera an inch, eyes shining. Sade glanced at the stream metrics, viewers spiking as the live feed replaced the premiere. Comments raced past like rain. Kunle stepped in, phone to ear. Collins just left the compound on a motorcycle, he said. We have his plate. Police are en route. Tunde rubbed his forehead. We'll deal with him. Vanessa, finish strong. Vanessa swallowed. I won't hide from the people I hurt. I will go to the market in daylight with no cameras if that's what you want, or with them if that's safer for you. I will listen. I will repair what I can. She exhaled. Keisha cut the feed. Sade clicked, replacing the live with a recorded replay pinned to the top of the channel. The canceled premiere slid into the archive. For a moment, the house was very still. Outside, a generator hummed. Somewhere, a bird scolded the sun. Good, Sade said softly. Step 1. Step 2, Mama Grace said, turning to Tunde. Is truth inside the house? Tunde looked puzzled. Inside. Mama Grace nodded, then walked to a bookshelf and pulled down a worn leather folder with a small brass clasp. She held it as if it carried both weight and mercy. I kept quiet because your grief was loud, she said, but silence has become another kind of harm. Tunde's brows knit. Mama, what is that? Your father's trust papers, she said, opening the folder. Inside lay copies of deeds, a trustee letter, a notarized page with a familiar signature. This mansion is not solely yours. It was placed in a family trust after your father died. Managed by me until either you marry a woman who honors our house or you pass 40. The room seemed to tilt. Vanessa blinked. Keisha's mouth fell open. Sad didn't move at all. Only her eyes sharpened, as if she'd suspected and now had proof. Tunde stared at the letters. You never told me. You never asked, Mama Grace replied gently. You called me mother and treated me like staff. I wore that with joy. But when a house forgets the hands that built it, the house starts to crack. Tunde swallowed hard. So you own this house? I steward it, Mama Grace said. For you, for the family, for anyone who walks through its doors with respect. That includes the woman you would bring here. Vanessa's breath caught. The apology she'd just made suddenly felt like a doorway, not an ending. Sade folded her arms. So when investors come, they're not just reading metrics, she said. They're reading values and legal documents. Kunle's radio hissed again. Gate guard reporting. 2 cars approaching. Company logos. Looks like investors, sir. Not yet noon, and the world was arriving. Mama Grace closed the folder. You asked for sunlight, Sade, she said. Let's set the table. Sade nodded once. I'll brief the PR team. No, Tunda said, voice low. I will brief them, and I will tell them that in my house, respect is the first metric. He turned to Vanessa. We go to the market after this meeting. Today. Vanessa's eyes filled, not with performance, but with the sober relief of consequences accepted. Yes, a chime sounded from the foyer, clear, polite, insistent. The front door camera flashed to life on the study monitor. Two suited investors waited, and between them, unexpected, small, fierce, stood the boy from the market, Dami, his hand clasped in a social worker's. The intercom lit up. A voice crackled. We were asked to bring the child who witnessed the incident. He has something he wants to say. Vanessa's heartbeat roared in her ears, and then Dami looked straight into the camera and said, it wasn't only the market. She came back later that night. She said something else. They brought Dami and the social worker into the study. The investors hovered near the doorway, uncertain between leaving and witnessing a family fire. Dami stood straight, chin up. I saw her again the night of the market, he said. A black car came. A woman got out. She wore a scarf, big sunglasses. She smelled like the fancy perfume from the boutique aunties use. She said, tell your grandma to stay away from my wedding. Take this and keep quiet. He pulled a creased envelope from his backpack. Inside was a neat stack of Naira notes and a small ivory card, hot stamped in gold. VT, Vanessa stared. Heat rose behind her eyes. That's my monogram, she whispered. But I didn't go back that night. I was at home. Keisha was with me. Keisha nodded immediately. She didn't leave. We shared a room. I would know. Sade took the card, turning it in the light. Vendor stock, she murmured. The printer we used for your engagement menus. She looked at Tundi. Half the house staff had access to the box in the dining room while we were doing color tests. Kunli's phone buzzed. He glanced down, then moved to the wall screen and pulled up a street camera still near Balogun. A black sedan idled under a flickering streetlight, time-stamped an hour after sunset on the market day. The driver wore a baseball cap. The passenger, a headscarf. Plate as rental, Kunla said. Booked with a prepaid card. Picking up more feeds now. The social worker cleared her throat. I'm not here to fight anyone, she said gently. Dami asked to come because he wanted to say the whole story. He's not looking for money. He wants the adults to fix what broke. Silence fell, solid and heavy. Mama Grace stepped closer to the boy, resting a hand on his shoulder. Thank you, she said. Truth is a kind of medicine. Vanessa exhaled like air leaving a punctured tire. I can't repair the past, she said, voice low, but I can take responsibility for it. Let me apologize where I sinned. In the market. Today. Tunda nodded once. We go now. The investors exchanged a glance. One of them, a woman with neat braids and clear eyes, said, May we observe? Funding is about product and people. This is a people moment. Come, Tunda said. He looked at Sade. Pause the rest of the world. If anyone calls, you tell them we're busy doing the work. Minutes later, the convoy slid into the furnace of late morning. Lagos rolled by, yellow Danfos swerving, hawkers weaving, a high-life tune spilling from a speaker. At Balogun, the air thickened with spice and engine heat. Word moved faster than their footsteps. They're here. Heads turned, eyes narrowed. Vanessa stepped out into a semicircle of faces that had seen her worst self. She did not hide behind sunglasses. She did not touch Keisha's camera. I came to ask for forgiveness, she began, voice caring, unadorned. I was cruel because I was ashamed. I was wrong, and I want to say that here, not from a mansion. Murmurs shivered the crowd, skepticism and curiosity, the market's twin winds. A woman with flour on her hands crossed her arms. Apology is talk, she said. What about repair? Vanessa nodded. Tell me what repair looks like for you. The woman pointed to a stall where tomatoes wilted in the sun. Cold storage, she said. Prices crash by afternoon. We lose half to heat. We need shade, ice, and someone to teach us how to keep the red from dying before it sells. Tunde glanced at Saad. Said was already tapping notes. A small solar cold room could fit here, she murmured. We can pilot. Another trader raised a hand. And dignity, he said. No more pushing people because of cloth on your body. You greet, you respect. That's repair too. Vanessa swallowed. Yes. Mama Grace stepped beside her. And training for the boys, she added, nodding at Dami and his friends. After school, phone repair, sewing, small trades. Not just shouting price every day. An older man laughed, not unkindly. Ha! Mama Grace always comes with extra homework. Food must feed tomorrow too, she said simply. The social worker lifted a clipboard. If there's interest, she said to the crowd, I can coordinate with a youth center nearby. We'll need volunteers. Hands went up, some cautious, some eager. Keisha lowered her camera, tears shining. This is the story, she whispered. Not the fall, the stand. Kunle lingered on the edge of the crowd, his phone pressed to his ear, listening, eyes scanning. He caught Tunde's attention and made a small motion. Tunde excused himself. Vanessa kept speaking, listening, letting people interrupt her, accepting interruptions as part of repair. By the time Tunde returned, a list had formed. Names, small needs, a sketch of a cold room on a scrap of carton. He leaned into Vanessa's whisper. Good, he said. This is the work. She nodded, eyes raw but brighter. I want to fund the storage, she said softly. From my account, not yours. And I'll come learn, quietly, if they want me. Almost on cue, Dami edged up, a shy smile fighting his caution. Grandma said you can come on Wednesdays, he said, but you must carry basket. Vanessa almost laughed. I will carry basket. Sirens wailed far off, then softened as if waved away. Kunle reappeared, face set, and motioned Tunde aside with Said and Mama Grace. The investors drifted close enough to overhear. We picked up Collins near 3rd Mainland, Kunle said. Bike abandoned, man in custody. He cracked when he saw the tech team had his routing logs. Said's mouth thinned. Who paid him? Kunle looked at her and then at Tunde. He says it wasn't about money at first. He was angry you skipped him for a promotion. Then someone inside the house made it profitable. Who? Tunde asked. Kunle didn't blink. He signed a non-disclosure from a shell account tied to one of the mansion's admin keycards. The payout hit a corporate card last night, the card used for your engagement printing. Vanessa frowned. The stationery account? Kunle nodded. Authorized by operations. He turned and his steady gaze rested on Sadi. By you. For a second, the market's noise dimmed, like sound cut in a film. Say didn't flinch. She slid her hands into her pockets and met Tunde's eyes. I push for truth, she said, voice even, but I did not hire him to extort. Kunle held up his phone. On the screen, a bank alert glowed. Metadata, timestamp, token signature, corporate card, Said's ID, and then his second phone vibrated. He checked it, jaw tightening. Collins just gave us the name of the person who handed him the envelope with VT on it, he said. He looked from Tunde to Vanessa to Mama Grace, and then back to Sadie. He says it was you. The market noise fell away until only breath and accusation remained. Kunle held up the phone with the bank metadata. Corporate card, ops authorization, Said's ID. Eyes turned to Said. She didn't flinch. I used that card, she said, voice flat, to buy a streaming encoder and to print apology cards for vendors if Vanessa chose to face this. I did not fund extortion. Then who handed Dami the envelope? Tunde asked. I didn't, Said replied. I was in the print room that evening, yes. I took a sleeve of VT or cards to keep them from lying around. I told Collins to lock the rest. If someone used that stationery, they either took it from me or from storage. Dami's fingers worked the cap of his pen. The lady at night had a bracelet, he said. Gold chain with a small letter. She moved her wrist like this. He mimed a neat flick. She also had a smell, like flower. Not the strong kind. Soft. Vanessa shook her head. I wear citrus. Keisha'll tell you. Keisha nodded. She does. Grapefruit and cedar. Said lifted her wrist. Bare. No bracelet. Mama Grace looked at Dami. Letter what? The boy frowned, remembering. It looked like M. Cunley's gaze shifted. M, he repeated, turning slowly. Who on staff wears a gold M bracelet? A woman near the tomato stall pursed her lips, thinking. The events lady, she said at last. Tall, sharp voice. Always checking lists. She wears a gold M. I saw her at the mansion when they came to book flowers. Sade's face hardened. Mabel, my assistant. Cunley was already on the radio. Team, locate Mabel Ajayi. Ops assistant. Pull gate logs, workstation activity. He listened, then nodded once. Face more granite than skin. She left in a pool car at dawn. No return recorded. The investors exchanged a look. The one with braids murmured, This isn't just a scandal, it's a systems test. Vanessa turned to Sade. Did she have access to your card? Only if she watched my password, Sade said. Or if Collins cloned my token. I told you he was careless. He was angry, Cunley said. Angry people become useful to worse ones. Back at the stalls, Mama Grace spoke low to Dami, easing the tension around his mouth. You were brave, she said. Even when grown-ups made noise. Toon rubbed his eyes. We can finish this here or finish it right, he said. We owe the market truth, but we also owe them safety. Cunley, move us to the side road. Sade, call Mabel. Now. They slid into a narrow alley behind the fabric shops. Sunlight fell in ragged strips between zinc roofs. The city's heart beat through concrete. Sade dialed. No answer. She tried again. On the third call, Mabel picked up. Madam? Mabel's voice was breathy, close to a whisper. Cars passed somewhere loud beside her. I'm on an errand. Come back, Sade said. Now. A pause, then a brittle laugh. To be arrested in front of the gate? No, thank you. Mabel, Cunley said, taking the phone, tone calm. We have your vehicle logs and the bank authorizations. We also have a boy who can identify you. Silence hissed. Then, you don't have the whole story. Then give it to us, Tunda said, leaning in. Who paid Collins? Who sent the ransom text? Why the envelope? You want honesty? Mabel's voice sharpened. Start with yours. You preach values, but you run a house where people like Mama Grace raise heirs while boardrooms sneer at them. When the video started to move, I thought maybe truth would finally knock on your door. So you chose blackmail, Sade said. I chose leverage, Mabel snapped. But I didn't ask for money. I told Collins to force a public apology. He added the money line. He wanted his own cut. And the envelope? Vanessa asked. Why frighten a child? Mabel's answer slid out, flat. I wanted Mama Grace to stay away from the first investor meeting. I thought the sight of her would make you all perform, not repent. I put transport money, not hush money. I used the VT card because she would open it if she thought it was from the fiancé. I wrote a note. Wait, give us a day. I didn't write, keep quiet. Dami's brows pinched, but she, the lady, said those words. Then someone wanted you to hear something uglier, Mabel said. And if I had to guess who would turn a warning into poison, say the name, Cunley said. Static buzzed. The line crackled. Collins, she breathed. Or someone paying him. He has a friend who sells voice kits. Keisha's eyes widened. Voice kits? Apps that clone voices, Mabel said. You think only politics uses that? Vanessa felt something cold climb her spine. Are you saying you have a recording? Not mine, Mabel said. But Collins, he bragged. He said if the apology didn't come, he had something better than a video. He said he had Vanessa in her own voice telling him to keep the old woman away. He said people would believe a voice faster than a camera. Sade's mouth tightened. Do you have proof? I have a copy, Mabel said. He sent it as a threat to me too, to make sure I kept pushing. Check your WhatsApp, Sade. Sade glanced at her phone. A new message sat at the top of her chats from an unknown number. An audio clip, 10 seconds long. She tapped it. Vanessa's voice filled the alley. Her pitch, her rhythm, tired, clipped, unmistakable. Keep her away from my wedding. Pay if you must. I don't care. The sound seemed to pull the heat from the air. Keisha's camera sagged. Vanessa, she whispered. Vanessa's throat closed. That's not me, she said raw. I never said that. I was with Keisha. I know where we were, Keisha said, voice shaking. But the internet won't care. Kunle took the phone. He played the clip again, eyes narrowed, then pocketed it. We'll forensically test it, he said. Compression artifacts, breath patterns, cut points. We'll know. By then, Sade said quietly, the damage will be done. A motorbike growled at the mouth of the alley. Collins, helmet half on, eyes wild, skidded to a stop as two plainclothes officers stepped from behind a stall. He hesitated, turned to run, and froze at the sight of Tunde, Kunle, Mama Grace, and the others waiting in a tight, still line. Don't do it, Conley said. Collins swallowed, then lifted his hands. From Kunle's radio, a second voice came, tense. Kunle, we just pulled gate camera footage from last night. Mabel wasn't alone when she took the stationery box. Who? Kunle asked. The answer fell like iron. The person with her was family. Your admin keycard shows 2 taps, one by Mabel, one by a relative. It was used by Sade. The alley breathed in. Sade's face didn't change, but her hands opened and closed once at her sides. I want a lawyer, she said evenly. And then from behind them, Mama Grace spoke, quiet, steady, breaking the fever with a truth that no one expected. Before you bring lawyers, Arm, she said, someone should hear the last piece your father left in that folder. She lifted the worn leather file again, eyes grave. What he wrote about Sade. The alley held its breath as Mama Grace opened the leather folder. Paper whispered. Her voice was steady and low. After your father died, she said to Tunde, he left addenda sealed until a day like this. When pride and truth would pull this house in opposite directions, she lifted a page stamped by a lawyer. He wrote that stewardship of this family would rest with me, and with one other blood heir. He said the 2 of us must protect the house from arrogance, even if it meant making the house uncomfortable. She turned the letter so Tunde could see the signature at the bottom, then looked up at Sade. The other heir, Mama Grace said, is you. Silence cracked like ice. Tunde stared at Sade. Heir? Sade's face went very still. He told me I was family, she said softly. He never said that. Mama Grace nodded. Your father made mistakes. He also tried to mend them. He recognized you as his daughter in this letter, Sade. He wanted you near the heart of the work. He knew you would be hard when the house grew soft. Collins shifted, cuffed hands scraping his jeans. The investors looked at each other, startled. Keisha's camera hung uselessly at her side. Vanessa saw Sade in a new light. Not just the efficient cousin, but a daughter raised in the margins and pulled toward the center by a man who ran out of time to say it out loud. Kunle cleared his throat, bringing them back. The rest? He asked Mama Grace. She lifted a second page. Your father authorized the sunlight clause to expose wrong privately or publicly if kindness failed. But he forbade money threats. He wrote, shame is not our teacher, it is our last resort. Kunle turned to Collins. So the ransom text, he said, was outside the clause. Who paid you? Collins swallowed. I added the money, he admitted. Mabel pushed for the upload and the apology. I saw a chance to get paid. I forged the text and routed it through Keisha's hotspot. The audio was an AI clip. I cut it from Vanessa's vlog and used a clone app. I was going to leak it if the money didn't come. Sade looked at Mabel's name on Kunle's phone, then lifted her chin. Mabel, she said into the line, you forced the envelope. You frightened a child. That has consequences. On the speaker, Mabel's breath hitched. I wanted truth, she said, a brittle edge gone from her voice. But I crossed it. I'll come in. Come to the back gate, Kunle said. No theater. He ended the call and nodded to the officers. Process Collins, he said. We will hand the AI file to forensics and write a sworn statement about the manufacture of evidence. He turned to the investors. You can sit in, or you can walk. The investor with braids folded her arms. We'll sit, she said. Values don't grow in clean rooms. They grow in heat. Tunde faced Sade. The air between them felt sharp and new. You used my channel without asking, he said. You used the keycard twice. I did, Sade answered. Once to lock down stationery so it wouldn't be misused, and again to prep the premiere when Vanessa kept delaying. I shouldn't have touched your channel without consent. I own that. And you're my sister, Tunde said, the word testing itself in his mouth. He exhaled, then nodded once. We will be hard on systems, not on each other. Said blinked hard and gave the smallest nod. They moved back toward the market square together, the heat rushing in, life returning to volume. Mabel stood by the alley mouth when they arrived, hands up, eyes rimmed red. She handed Cunley her phone and a slim gold bracelet with an M charm. I'll answer for what I did, she said, voice rough. I won't run. Dami watched, serious as a judge. Vanessa knelt to his height. I'm sorry I made you afraid, she said. I will spend Wednesdays here learning and carrying baskets, if Grandma allows. Mama Grace met Dami's eyes. He nodded once. Permission granted in the quiet way children grant big things. By afternoon, statements were taken and calls made. In the study at home, Tunde stood before the investors and spoke without slides. We failed, he said. We are fixing it. Here is our plan. He laid it out like a blueprint. A public documented apology and a follow-up visit schedule. Not for cameras, but for repair. Funding immediately for a solar-powered cold room at Balogun Market, designed with the traders. A youth skills program in partnership with the local center, starting with phone repair and tailoring. Stipends tracked transparently. A full audit of security, access, and approvals. No single point of failure. A staff charter written with the staff, not for them. Beginning with a line that Mama Grace spoke out loud. Respect is the first metric. He paused. And one more thing. I will not build a company or a marriage by stepping over people who raised me. The investors didn't clap. They asked hard questions. They got harder answers. When their car doors finally closed, they left something stronger than applause. A commitment to return next week. Days turned. On the first Wednesday, Vanessa came to the market in a plain shirt and sneakers. She tied a wrapper the way Mama Grace taught her, and she carried baskets until her shoulders ached. She listened more than she spoke. She learned the names of tomatoes in 3 dialects. She checked the cold room site and asked the electrician why the inverter needed shade. She told Keisha not to film those hours. Not because I'm hiding, she said, because I'm learning. On the third Wednesday, Dami took a small screwdriver from a donated kit and repaired a cracked charging port. His grin broke wide open when the phone buzzed alive. It works, he shouted. It works, Grandma. The traders cheered. Keisha cried behind a pile of peppers and didn't even try to hide it. At the mansion, Said and Tunde moved like a matched pair in a new rhythm. Sister and brother, co-stewards. Kunli tightened the systems until every keycard click had a shadow. Collins pled guilty. The court set a date. Mabel resigned and wrote a long, public apology, then began volunteering twice a week at the youth center. Consequences, then repair. One quiet evening, Mama Grace called Vanessa to the foyer where the whole mess had started. The light was soft, the marble cool underfoot. On the table lay a small box wrapped in blue cloth. This was your father's mother's ring, Mama Grace said to Tunde, and then to Vanessa. He asked me to give it one day to the woman who showed humility at Balogun. I did not know who she would be. I know now. Vanessa's hand shook when Mama Grace placed the ring in her palm. You will stumble again, Mama Grace said. So will we all. But you learn the turn from pride to repair. That turn saves houses. Tunde took Vanessa's hand and slid the ring on gently. He didn't make a speech. He only looked at her like a man who had finally chosen what kind of home he wanted to build. The doorbell chimed. On the camera, the market children crowded the step, Dami in front holding a small plastic crate printed with a new label. Balogun Cold Room, Wednesday Lot 1. He grinned into the lens. Delivery, he announced, for the house that carries baskets. And somewhere in the city, under the humming fans of a new cold room, tomatoes kept their color past noon.